A gracious good day to one and all once again. 'Tis I, Norton the First, by grace of God, Emperor of the United States, and Protector of Mexico. Back with you all once again for episode number 147 of Emperor Norton's fantastic history vlog. Today is October 2nd, 2020, our 199th day under COVID-19 restrictions, which means tomorrow makes 200 days. We are not vlogging tomorrow. We have an event that we have to be at, and in fact, you're all invited. Come by the Buena Vista Cafe at the corner of Beach and Hyde up near Fisherman's Wharf at 8:01 a.m. The Ancient and Honorable Order of E. Clampus Vitus. What say the brethren? We'll be unveiling a plaque at the Buena Vista Cafe, the place where the Irish coffee was introduced to America. So you're welcome to come by. Would love to see you there. Let us know if you see us, if you are a fan of the vlog. So we'll be doing the Countess's show on Sunday this week. And this is our first time back since Tuesday. We talked about this in the Tuesday episode. We had some imperial business to attend to, but also we are considering a format change for this vlog as we are hopefully going back to work being a tour guide soon. Sometime in October, it looks like, once we're done dealing with the Dowager's estate. We're looking to do that. So keep your eyes and ears open. When we do that, it's going to be a once-a-week vlog and podcast. We're going to take the audio and make it a podcast as well. We will continue to do the Saturday episode with the Countess. And it's going to be more the ones with just us, the Imperial us, is going to be more of an almanac, kind of what we're doing today, but we're covering 3 days and what we did on Tuesday when we covered 4. So we'll be doing highlights from the week. We will be leaving out some things because there just won't be enough time. This vlog could go on for hours, we suppose, if we were to talk about everything. But no firm decisions have been made yet. Also, we're getting a wonderful technological upgrade soon because the app that we use to create this vlog, VLLO, a wonderful app if you've never used it, has just given us the capability to use green screen. So whenever we get our green screen, you're going to be seeing some changes, different backgrounds. Of course, this lovely background was given to us by Grand Duchess Judy Leff. That's all. And we certainly appreciate it, but we want to change it up a little bit and try some new things. So green screen is going to be a tremendous boost to us. Well, enough of all that. Let's move on to the regular show. We have some surprises today. Let's begin with our national days. We just did today, but when we do the almanac, we'll be giving the highlights over a number of days. It is International Day of Nonviolence. So if you're not a fan of nonviolence, I'll beat you up. Name your car day. Oh, we have named most, if not all of our cars. We had, let's see, the Dada-mobile, the Narwhal, the Beast. We've had some interesting cars over the years. We are a fan of obscure and ugly cars. We've owned quite a few of them. National Custodial Workers Day. Indeed, we should appreciate all of our custodial workers. World Farm Animals Day. We're not going to touch that. And World Smile Day. Smile, everybody. Though your heart is breaking, you just smile. You know, that song was written by Charlie Chaplin. Most people don't know that, but now you do. Our Florida Man story, and it's a doozy today. It incorporates not only Florida Man, but people of Walmart. Florida Man tries to buy 8-year-old girl at Walmart. I don't know. I never look up the details. I just read the headlines. Well, let's move on to our San Francisco stories for today. And as we so often do, we're relying on John Ralston's wonderful book, This Date in San Francisco. We'll go back first to September 30th, 1967. The restored Palace of Fine Arts is dedicated. The Palace of Fine Arts was the western hub of the Panama Pacific International Exposition of 1915. Designed by Berkeley architect Bernard Maybeck, it was intended to evoke a mood of classic antiquity. The palace was actually three structures: the 400-foot curved gallery for displaying artworks, a colonnade with Corinthian columns surmounted by figures of women weeping, presumably for lost times past, and a rotunda facing the natural lagoon with fountains added for the PPIE. Maybeck's vision succeeded beyond expectations, a mood expressed in solid form, as writer Ruth Newhall put it, and it was an immediate favorite. A Fine Arts Preservation League was organized to preserve it before the PPIE closed in December, and it was the only PPIE structure to remain after all others were demolished, although some were transported to other locations. Like them, however, it was a temporary structure building of plaster over wood. Other than the gallery's steel frame, and over the years, the rotunda and colonnade deteriorated. Ownership passed to the San Francisco Art Association. The gallery continued to be used for exhibitions and for tennis courts, and as an army depot during World War II. By the 1950s, it was obviously time to consider a permanent replacement. In 1957, Assembly member Caspar Weinberger, who later served as Secretary of Defense in the Reagan administration, succeeded in getting the state to appropriate $2 million, provided matching funds were raised. An initial city bond failed in 1958. Then in 1959, businessman Walter Johnson, who had fallen in love with the palace of the PPIE and called it a building with a soul, pledged another $2 million. Another city bond issue passed this time. More funds were raised privately, and the complex plans for creating Maybeck's vision in reinforced concrete began. All the original structures except the gallery frame were demolished. Steel framework rose in place of wood, and Maybeck's figures were recreated in concrete. On September 30th, 200 spectators who had paid $1 admission to attend a ceremony in the rotunda heard Monsignor William Glassby deliver the invocation. The restoration had problems, however. Chunks of concrete fell from the rotunda, requiring nets to be placed to protect visitors. The lagoon became something like a swamp and a dump. In 2003, Mayor Willie Brown contacted Donna Ewald Huggins, hi Donna, a publicist and historian whose grandparents met at the PPIE, proposing she organize a second restoration. Huggins led a public and privately funded project with contributions from the city, the nonprofit Maybeck Foundation, the Corrett Foundation, and thousands of individuals, raising over $20 million. Thanks to her efforts, a newly restored Palace of Fine Arts was dedicated on January 14, 2011. It's beautiful. It is our favorite thing in the city, perhaps one of our favorite in the world. No trip to San Francisco would be complete without a visit to the Palace of Fine Arts. It is highly recommended. Let's move on to our second story today. October 2nd, 1875, the Palace Hotel opens. One evening in the early 1870s, so the legend goes, financier William Chapman Ralston was at a dinner party in his Belmont mansion where he said to his guest, Charles Felton, "Charlie, I'm going to build in San Francisco the finest hotel in the world." "What are you going to do that for?" asked Felton. "To advertise San Francisco." The Palace Hotel was Ralston's most conspicuous project yet. The interior included 3 courts supplying light and air to interior rooms. The largest court, facing New Montgomery Street entrance, was 84 by 144 feet, with a circular driveway on which horse-drawn vehicles deposited guests. Above the court rose 7 stories of galleries surmounted by a great domed opaque glass roof. There were 800 rooms with 804 mantels, 900 washstands, and 40,000 square feet of pavement. Interior woods were mahogany, teak, primavera, rosewood, and ebony. The interior was awesome. Brick walls averaged 2 feet in thickness, reinforced by iron bands, rose above a masonry foundation 12 feet deep. The mortar for the bricks was an extra strength formula, almost as hard when it sets as the bricks themselves. All rooms had bay windows to provide maximum light in the city's foggy climate. Constructing such an edifice taxed even Ralston's resources. 300,000 bricks were laid daily, supplied by every brickyard in the Bay Area. So much oak flooring was needed that Ralston bought a ranch with oak trees, only to find that they were the wrong variety. The elite New York furniture firm W&J Sloan's provided so much furniture for the Palace Hotel that it opened a San Francisco branch. Carpets were made in France. The French company C.F. Haviland supplied 30,000 dishes. Ralston's own silk company supplied hangings and upholstery. His woolen mills furnished blankets. The newly created Adams Lock Company, made door and cabinet fittings. Ralston's colleague, William Sharon, asked, if you were going to buy a foundry for a nail, a ranch for a plank, and a manufactory to build furniture, where is this going to end? The palace opened on August 2nd, 1875. Leland Stanford was reputedly the first guest to sign the register. We'll come back to him later on. William C. Ralston did not live to see his creation. The previous August, he had to resign from the Bank of California after revealing that he owed it $5 million. He went swimming afterwards, and after possibly suffering a stroke, died at the age of 49. Now, the 1875 Palace Hotel is no longer with us. It burned up in the Great Earthquake and Fire of 1906, despite having 500,000 gallons of water in the tanks that were unfortunately used to put out the fires in the surrounding buildings. They had to tear it down. The new one, the one we see today, was opened in 1909. It's where President Warren G. Harding passed away. There's a beautiful mural of us in the Palace Hotel. It is the only place, well, actually, no, it was not that one. I'm not going to tell that story because it was not that Palace Hotel where we were arrested. Yes, that's a whole other story we will tell someday if we've not told it already. But that's a whole other story. So let's move on with our other stories for today. Starting with September 30th, 1935, the Boulder Dam, later the Hoover Dam, astride the border of the United States of Arizona and Nevada, is dedicated by President Franklin D. Roosevelt. 1953, former Governor of California, Earl Warren, is appointed Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. 1968, the first Boeing 747 rolls out, what is that now, 52 years ago? Am I doing that right? Yes. Wow, it's a long time. They're still being built, although I believe production is coming to an end. Moving on to the first, 1867, Karl Marx, Das Kapital, is published. We'll come back to a Marx later on, but not Karl. 1891, Stanford University, California, opens its doors after being founded by Leland Stanford and his wife Jane with a $40 million donation in 1891 dollars in memory of their son. Among its first graduation class, future president, U.S. President Herbert Hoover. 1939, Winston Churchill calls Russia a, quote, riddle wrapped in a mystery inside an enigma, unquote. Not much has changed, has it? 1949, the People's Republic of China is proclaimed by Mao Zedong. 1955, the TV show The Honeymooners premieres. One of my all-time favorite New Yorker cartoons are two astronauts on the moon. There's a woman face down, and one of the astronauts says to the other, "It's Alice Cramden." If you're a fan of the show, you'll get that one. 1957, the first appearance of In God We Trust on U.S. paper currency. 1964, San Francisco cable cars are declared a national landmark. 2012, California becomes the first U.S. state to ban conversion therapy for minors. Conversion therapy is where you try to cure someone's homosexuality. Moving on to the 2nd of October, 1789, George Washington transmits the proposed constitutional amendments, the United States Bill of Rights, to the states for ratification. 1866, J. Osterhout patents the tin can with key opener. Prior to that, you had to use a knife to open a tin can. That must have been very difficult. 1871, U.S. Mormon leader Brigham Young is arrested for bigamy. 1872, Phileas Fogg, I always thought it was Phineas, but it says here Phileas Fogg, sets out on his journey as depicted in Jules Verne's Around the World in 80 Days. You ever see the movie? We make a small cameo in a parade in San Francisco. Indeed. Let's see if we can dig up the photo of that. It's not easy to find. 1902, Beatrix Potter's The Tale of Peter Rabbit is published. 1916, the San Diego Zoo is founded. 1919, U.S. President Woodrow Wilson has a stroke, leaving him partially paralyzed. On this date in 1950, the first Charlie Brown, Little Folks, later Peanuts by Charles M. Schulz, is published in 7 newspapers worldwide. Happy 70th birthday to Peanuts. Let's see, where were we? 1967, Thurgood Marshall is sworn in as the first U.S. Black Supreme Court Justice. 2009, Stan Lee Day, declared by the County of Los Angeles and the City of Long Beach. 2018, Saudi-American journalist Jamal Khashoggi enters the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, never to be seen again, prompting a diplomatic crisis. He was probably, we're pretty sure he was murdered. Of course, the body's never been found. Moving on to our births today. 1915, Lester Maddox, the former governor of Georgia, restaurant owner known for his pickaxe handle. Look it up. 1924, the great writer Truman Capote. 1928, speaking of great writers as well as activists, Elie Wiesel, Auschwitz survivor and author of Night, which he won the Nobel Prize for. 1931, actor Angie Dickinson. 1935, singer Johnny Mathis went to George Washington High School and was a graduate of San Francisco State University, our alma mater. And 1974, T-Rex's own Mark Bolan, bang a gong. Moving on to the 1st of October, 1881, William Boeing. So they rolled out the 747 on his birthday. 1909, former mayor of Los Angeles, Sam Yorty, Mayor Sam. 1910, Bonnie Parker of Bonnie and Clyde. And 1920, the actor Walter Matthau. 1927, Tom Bosley played Howard on Happy Days. 1928, George Papard, Banachek, The A-Team, Breakfast at Tiffany's. I love it when a plan comes together. We're going to return to The A-Team later on. 1930, Richard Harris, singer and actor. Oh dear. Someone left a cake out in the rain. Hey, by the way, to our friends in Los Angeles, next time it's raining, could you take a cake to MacArthur Park, leave it out in the rain, and take a picture of it and send it to us? We'd appreciate that. 1935, Jimmy Carter, former President Jimmy Carter, 96 years old. 1924, Supreme Court Chief Justice William Rehnquist. We already got that one. 1935, Julie Andrews. Oh, what a great voice. Fortunately, she can't sing anymore. In 1949, the great photographer Annie Leibovitz. Moving on to the 2nd of October, 1800, Nat Turner, American leader of a major slave rebellion in 1831. 1869, Mahatma Gandhi, the great pacifist and leader of independence for India. 1938, film critic Rex Reed, also known for his role in Myra Breckinridge. 1945, Neil Tennant of the Pet Shop Boys, one of our favorites. Happy birthday, Neil. 1951, Sting, actually Gordon Sumner, but we all know him as Sting from The Police, and a considerable solo career. I left out a very important birthday, but I know which one it is. We'll get back to that because we're going to do a little something at the end. Our deaths today. 1948, Edith Roosevelt, the widow of Teddy Roosevelt. 1955, James Dean is killed in an auto collision at the age of 24. 1978, the great ventriloquist Edgar Bergen, of course, the father of Candace Bergen, but also known as Charlie McCarthy, Mortimer Snerd. Got to meet him once, shared a dressing room with him, gave him a red onion. It's a long story. And 2010, Stephen J. Cannell, American TV producer and writer behind the shows The Rockford Files, 21 Jump Street, and of course, The A-Team. I pity the fool! 1972, Louis Leakey, the British paleontologist and archaeologist. 1985, the author E.B. White wrote for The New Yorker, Charlotte's Web, and my favorite childhood book, Stuart Little. 1985 as well, the actor Rock Hudson dies of AIDS, and that's what really turned things around on the AIDS pandemic. 1990, Curtis LeMay, Air Force General, founder of the Air Force actually, and I think also the Strategic Air Command, and was the vice presidential candidate in the American Independent Party with George Wallace. I believe that was 1968. It also might have been 1972. 2004, the great photographer Richard Avedon. And 2017, Arthur Art Janov, American psychologist and psychotherapist, notable for creating primal scream therapy. Gotta save my voice, you'll understand why. Moving on to the 2nd of October, 1968, Marcel Duchamp, one of our favorite artists. Rose c'est la vie. If you're a fan, you'll get it. Well, the birthday that we missed was Groucho Marx, one of our favorites, absolute favorites. And as a little tribute to Groucho, well, and the Marx Brothers, because we can imitate all of them, including Harpo. We're going to read now the famous Why a Duck monologue, but sketch from the Coconuts. We'll be doing both the voices of Groucho and Chico. Now, right over here is the residential section. Oh, people live there, eh? No, that's the stockyard. Now, along here is the river front. And along the river, those are levees. That's the Jewish neighborhood. Well, we'll pass over that. You're a peach boy. Now, here is a little peninsula, and here's a viaduct leaving over the mainland. Viaduct. I'm all right. How are you? I said, here's a little peninsula, and here's a viaduct leading over the mainland. All right, viaduct. I'm not playing Ask Me Another. I said that's a viaduct. All right, so why a duck? Why not a duck? Why a duck? Why not a no chicken? Well, I don't know why no chicken. I'm a stranger here myself. All I know is it's a viaduct. You try to cross over there as a chicken, and you'll find out why a duck. When I go someplace, I just say, it's deep water. That's why a duck. It's deep water. That's why a duck. Look. Suppose you find out you were on horseback riding, and you came to that river, and you looked to ford over. You couldn't make it. It's too deep. Well, why you want to ford if you got a horse? Well, I'm sorry the matter ever came up. All I know is that it's a viaduct. Now look, all right. I catch you why a horse, why a chicken, why a this, why a that. I know catch you why a duck. Oops, pardon me. I was only fooling. They're going to build a tunnel in there in the morning. Now, is that clear to you? Yes, except the why a duck. Well, that's a fine. Then we go ahead with this thing. Now, look, I'm going to take you down and show you our cemetery. I've got a waiting list of 50 people down that cemetery just dying to get in. But I like you. Yeah, you're my friend. Hey. That was a bit of fun. I forgot the cigar. Oh, well. Yeah, I did Groucho in my youth. I had a whole read monologues. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the faculty. Anyway, anybody who knew me in high school will remember that, hopefully. Well, our quote today, before the end, is fitting. It's Groucho. Who else? I find television very educating. Every time somebody turns on the set, I go in the other room and read a book. Well, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. So, that wraps it up for today's edition. Until we see you again, stay safe, stay inside, and therefore stay healthy. If you do go outside, wear a mask, Mr. President. Yeah? You think you will now? Don't get me started. A couple things, by the way, before we wrap up. We are, of course, accepting tips. Here's the information for that. You can do a monthly subscription via Patreon, or you can make a one-time donation via PayPal or Venmo, or mail it to us, whatever. We could certainly use the money, especially to buy the green screen. And if you'd like to know more about the tours that we're going to be restarting soon, as well as the Countess's tours, which will be coming back later on, maybe we'll be relaunching San Francisco Food Safari. We're not sure about that part yet. When we do bring the tours back, for us at least, it's going to be on Saturday only at 11 a.m. It will be limited because of city guidelines. Well, not guidelines. It's an enforced, not law, but I don't know what to call it. Anyway, we're limited to 10 people. So check that out. Here's the information for that right there. Until we see you again. Oh, be kind to one another. I know we made a snarky comment just a moment ago, but sorry, he deserves it. And until we see you again, a gracious good day.